Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today's story from military.com. Hamburger Hill veteran finally receives his Bronze Star. The wait is finally over. The story is by Kevin Demask, D-A-M-A-S-K. The wait is finally over for Army veteran George Lehman. While he does consider himself a hero, what Lehman did during the Vietnam War and the bloody Battle of Hamburger Hill should have given him a Bronze Star decades ago. But the Arizona veteran was finally honored with the medal in an event hosted by the organization honoring, hiring, helping our heroes of Pinell County, HOHP, on November 25th at its headquarters. Jeff Tim, a liaison officer for the Congressman Eli Crane's office, presented Lehman with the Bronze Star and additional service medals. Lehman's tour of Vietnam lasted from 1968 to 1970. As a radio operator, he was in the thick of one of the war's most infamous battles, Hamburger Hill, in May of 1969. The battle, which raged along the slopes of the Dong Bia Mountain, I don't know how to say that, I apologize, got its name from the carnage it inflicted. Hill 937 is in central Vietnam, not far from the western border of Laos. During the week-long conflict, 56 U.S. soldiers were killed in action. While Lehman had proper credentials to receive a Bronze Star based on his service record, he wasn't quite sure why it took more than 5 decades to get his medals. Bronze Stars given to soldiers who display heroic or meritorious achievements or service in a combat zone. Lehman thinks his work with HOHP helped him gain the recognition needed to finally be honored. I don't think I was a hero, Lehman told Pinell Central. It's nice to have them, the medals, because I've always wanted them, but I just never did anything about it until getting involved with the HOHP. The story of Hamburger Hill was adapted into a film released in 1987. However, Lehman has never watched it. After all, he lived it. I still haven't seen that movie, he said. As a radio operator in the field, Lehman played a vital role in combat operations. Radio men relayed communications on enemy movement back to commanders. It also made him particularly a bullseye for North Vietnamese army. It took over 4 companies to go up the mountain, and that's 60 to 80 people in a company, and they lost 60 guys. They got up there, and there was supposed to have been at least 2,000 enemies on top, Lehman said. We got up there after a week and found nobody but this big hole at the top going straight down. We left 3 days later and never went back. Kim Vandenberg, HOHP director, said the organization was very pleased to watch Lehman receive the Bronze Star. Vandenberg plans to track down Lehman's nomination papers for receiving the medal. George earned the Bronze Star for a reason. They're simply not just given out, Vandenberg said. We will find out about the circumstances of the medal award and get the write-ups for that. The fact that Lehman was humble in receiving such a high honor doesn't surprise Vandenberg. Vietnam veterans tend to have a complicated view of the war. They all have a different feel for what it means to them, Vandenberg said. You may have some veterans that don't want them and they push them to a side because of whatever they experience. Everybody has a different outlook. Abraham Ortega, another Bronze Star recipient, was on hand to see Lehman receive his medal. Ortega also served in Vietnam. While he and Lehman never met during their service time, he said all veterans who spent time there share a certain brotherhood. We stepped up when we were young men and we signed a blank check to do a job. And we did it with honor. We did it with pride, Ortega said. We stepped up to the line and we did it because socialism was spreading out and we went over to stop socialism as young men to do our jobs. Knowing what I did, that and then some, made me feel highly honored. I didn't know I was going to feel that way over the years. Looking at George today, I say, Boy, we could have been related. We never met each other, but he was there and he did what he had to do. Well, I wasn't there. I was lucky enough not to be there. I was afterwards. I was afterwards. I went in the late 70s. Um, everything I know or heard about Vietnam and stories I've been told about Vietnam, I think anybody who went there deserves the highest medals they can get. Because that was absolutely ridiculous and crazy the way they had to fight them over there. Anyways, I appreciate you stopping by. Y'all have a great day, great night, whatever the case may be. We'll see you next time.